This and every podcast is brought to you by Claypot. Claypot is a Cantonese-styled restaurant located at 58 St. Mark's Place. You should totally go check it out. It's great food. It's just a good time, and you can have your option of like pork belly or eel. I mean, I always say this every podcast, but that's just because I love pork belly and I love eel. But there's a lot of options there that you can have. And Claypot is now available on Grubhub and Seamless. So if you want to have your Claypot to go get it. This podcast is with my friend Drake, who I met through jiu-jitsu, I guess you could say. So it's really interesting because my first-hand experience, and I love meeting people this way, was, hey, what's up? It's Stefan. You want to roll? Cool. Okay. And we just have a little friendly sparring session, and yeah, I would definitely say that he's one of the most intense people I've ever met. And that's not in like a negative kind of way. It's just, I mean, when you hear his story out, you'll understand. And wow, I mean, I'm extraordinarily envious of how sharp this man's focus is and his dedication to everything that he does. I think there's definitely a lesson to be learned from that. And I hope that there's something that you can take away from this podcast too.
It all goes back to how I was raised, and that has a lot to do with my mom. And I always try to give her as much credit as possible. I think because she did so much work in helping bring me up to be, the man I aspire to be today, and helped me move past a lot of the challenges that I faced in the past. So, growing up in inner city DC. My parents split up when I was 8 years old, and Dad bounced, and I'll be honest with you, that was pretty tough, pretty upsetting. A lot of people got issues like that, and so nothing special there, but it did genuinely affect me. I was a pretty emotional kid. It was interesting, bro, because at this time, I like to sort of isolate three things that happened kind of early on in my childhood that really began sort of the intensity that you kind of feel when you're around me today. If I describe myself from one word, I'd probably say pretty intense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I get that.
I'm fun.
Okay, I didn't want to bring that up because I didn't know if you were going to be like, what do you mean? But
Oh, no, I absolutely.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I could identify myself for sure, man. So I was 6-year-old, 5-year-old. Sorry, 9/11 happens, right? I think everyone was touched by that in a different way, in a very powerful moment, especially as a kid. Then in DC, when I was a kid, there was something called the DC Sniper, which was essentially a dude, a former sniper in the U.S. Army, who would drive around from the back of his car. He would snipe people around the city, and
Jesus.
yeah, without them knowing, just boom, dead. Police didn't know. It was a couple months before they found him. And I remember, as a kid, you had to go out. Like, for example, I'd walk home from piano practice, and I would be afraid. I'd be like, Mom, can you please drive me? I don't want to get sniped. And
Yeah, Jesus, and that's real. That was a real thing.
And my mom was like, no, I can't drive you because you can't go around in this world being afraid, right? And I would have to get used to the idea that every time you step foot outside your house, even if you're inside your house, man, it's it's a danger. That's how it is. That's how life is. You've got to be ready to bring it, whatever it is, to deal with the situation, no matter how difficult or easy it might be. So, and then the third thing was obviously the divorce or separation, I guess, and things weren't ever that rough. They worked pretty hard, I think, at trying to keep it friendly, for the sake of myself and my sister. Obviously I appreciate that now. At the time, though, it was weird because you'd go to school, right, and everybody's got sort of a normal normal in quotations, right? Because everybody's got something different going on, but like
Yeah, of course.
more traditional family dynamic, right? And you know, mine wasn't, you know, and sometimes, you know, parents would show up to a function, for a school function, or like playing baseball or hockey at the time, you know, and people would say like, I thought your parents weren't together, and I'd be like, they're not, but they're here together. And they're like, why shouldn't they dislike each other? And I was like, I don't know exactly the exact extent of the relationship. To that point, I'm 8.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Wait.
I'm not really too sure about this. All I know is he doesn't live here anymore, you know, and things are not, you know, things get real rocky between myself and my dad. But, you know, from an early age, you know, that sort of already puts you in the frame of mind of like understanding like, okay, things aren't necessarily going to be smooth sailing, right? And, you know, they're going to be good, they're going to be bad, and it's about figuring out how you're going to navigate your way through it. And so I really give a lot of credit though to my mom though, because she held things together. She, you know, didn't necessarily have the best jobs all the time, right? But she was always sacrificing her career, or she was sacrificing her personal gain, personal enjoyment for the sake of her children. And 100% that is just a type of sacrifice that I have yet to understand. But it's something I so appreciate, and I can't be appreciative enough of it. And I know my sister feels the same way. And you know, that's really what bonded us together, and we're super close. So growing up, right, having to, you know, travel between, you know, my dad, he only moved about a mile and a bit away. So it was interesting because I remember walking back and forth between our houses, my dad lived in an apartment, pretty cool apartment, man. He moved into this place where at the time they had a cocaine ring and a child pornography ring going on at the same time.
Okay,
So,
that's what you meant by cool.
yeah, so, you know, throw a little sarcasm there, but
Jesus.
yeah, no, so I mean, it definitely, you know, it wasn't a bad place or anything, but too bad place. It was pretty bad. You don't want those things going on, right? But
Yeah.
but for sure, you know, going there, it was rough. You know, going to my dad's place was never easy. It was never as simple as just going to see your father. Or, you know, it was going to see like a person who's, you know, pretty, you know, emotionally stunted, has difficulty dealing with us kids, who kind of resented having us, and wasn't all too good at hiding it a lot of the time. So, you know, that was difficult, and it wasn't easy. But you know, there were many times I remember running, making that run from my dad's house to my mom's house. You know, just you know, kind of, instead of maybe facing my issues with my dad head on, but as a young teen, young adult, sort of running away from my problems, and that's where I sort of really wanted to, as I grew older, wanted to switch the mindset of let's leave the problem, and instead let's confront the issue head on and try to combat it the best as we can, because that's going to be ultimately how you want to approach whatever task it is in life, right? You don't want to run away from something. That doesn't, you might be an endurance athlete, you can run as long as you want, but hell, man, eventually it's going to catch up to you. Demons are demons, man. So you gotta start
Oh,
focusing up on them, right? So, and it starts with looking inward at me. And I think, you know, the issues I had with my dad, the struggles I had with him, overcoming some of the abuse and stuff like that, allowed me to look inward and find sort of a deeper moral conduct of how I wish to apply to myself. And so that was definitely, the home life was definitely a significant impact on sort of the way I grew up. And then that, obviously, maybe not obviously, but carried over, I suppose, to how I approach things at school. And in high school, I think, is sort of, in my memory, high school and then early time here at BU were periods where I had to really dig deep socially, and because that's probably one of the areas that I'm the least comfortable in. It's funny, man, because you know, if in jiu-jitsu, you know, the other day I had the guy, much better brown belt, just choking me, And I was
Yeah.
pretty comfortable with that situation.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I'm getting choked, but I'm going to do the defense and try to fight my way out of it. And I'm just going to relax. Or, you're swimming in the pool, man, and, you're swimming underwater for a long time, and your body, at the beginning fights to breathe. So you have these, like, contractions in your chest where your body's like, I need air, I need air, I need
Yeah,
air.
you freak out.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
But you got to tell your mind to say, hey, I don't need air. For now, right? For now,
For now.
for now, right? And so you gotta keep pushing on, right? And so you can sort of become acclimated to that environment. When it came to, like, I went to a very wealthy private school in McLean, Virginia, outside of the District of Columbia. You got a bunch of rich white kids, pretty much. I mean, I'm white, so like that's not nothing unique. But I'm not rich. All right, I'm pretty middle class. Thanks to, my dad makes a fair amount of money, so he would always pay. But, my mom never really made very much money. Not saying she always gave us what we needed, but she to be straight up with you, she doesn't make that much money, you know what I'm saying? So, it was definitely, sometimes things were difficult in that area for her. I know that put a lot of stress on her, and as a result, my dad, because he had to kind of worry about still the family through child support and stuff like that. And so... but going to this wealthy school, man, for the longest time I had this chip on my shoulder, dude, where like I would come in and I'd see kids talking about all their lavish vacations, or their complaints were pretty mundane, I thought, where it's just like they're more concerned with like the day-to-day, regular
It's like first world problems.
yeah, pretty much. But I'm first world too, so like I can't make it seem like that
Yeah.
bad, you feel me? But like it just, at times I would let that get to me, because I was like, oh man, y'all don't understand what it's like. Because I'd worked at a camp, and I know I told you this story earlier, but I'm just going to tell it again. But like I worked at a camp in inner city DC, only white kid there, walking in, and everybody else is like just kind of like, what, who's this crackerjack right here, like he's looking out of place. And I was just like, yeah, I'm here to volunteer and work at a sports camp, DC Parks and Recreation, Hardy location. And so yeah, it was there I learned a lot about sort of how life is in an urban environment where people don't have much and are struggling, are scrapping away to live. And then I learned a lot about from going to that sort of seeing the wealthy private school lifestyle of like the other end of it, and then I'm in between the two, kind of, right? So
Yeah.
like I have one foot in one foot in the other, and living in the middle, and sort of being able to, for myself, sort of decide about like, oh, what's real or what's legitimate, or how should I approach situations coming from this perspective or another perspective. And definitely, at Hardy is the first place I got a gun pointed at me when I was 13 years old. And guy walks in, the gentleman I was working with had owed him money as part of like a drug program. They were running cocaine through his pockets, and so the guy came to collect and pointed a gun at him, said, hey, you're late on this payment, what's going on? And the dude was like, are you serious? At my work, this is not appropriate. He didn't say it so articulate, but like he was, there was a lot more swearing, a lot more fear in the voices. But then the dude who's there to collect looks at me and says like, get the fuck out of here, white boy, points the gun at my face. And I was sort of like, well, oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like that, I wish I could tell you I was some brave guy who like disarmed him, or you did something cool like that. I wasn't, man. If you've seen the cartoons where it's like you see the cartoon character and their like legs are moving but are like turning as fast as they can, but they're not actually moving. I was like, pick it up, bam, and I got out of there. Yeah. I'm just like sprinting out, man, of the actual place. It was just like in a little rec center, and I go outside and there were some kids out there, so I just wanted to make sure they didn't wander in by accident, because they were waiting for their parents to pick them up. It was like extended day, so so like it's hard to like take an experience like that where like you're like, all right, I got a gun pointed at me, I'm dealing with guys dealing drugs on a basketball court, fights are breaking out around me, and that's like a hey, just another day type of attitude. And all of a sudden, I'm going back to this wealthy private school, and I got girls complaining about the fact that they're getting written up for not, for having dresses that are too like short or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And people are like driving BMWs into school and stuff. So it's like it's a really different sort of
you get like both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's a different. It was a kind of a difficult thing to balance at first, and here I am, and I'm like, yeah, I have all these crazy experiences. Listen to me, and nobody believes me because they can't. It's not their fault, but they can't.
Yeah, they don't live in. They don't know the other world.
Exactly, man. So I didn't really have too many friends, growing up in high school, and so like that was difficult walking in there every day, and where you're expected to work as hard academically, and I'm not super passionate about academics. I'd rather do many other things, right? And so you sort of find yourself in this like freshman sophomore year in kind of a rough cycle of like go to school angry at pretty much everyone. They don't understand me. They don't get me. Notice it's a lot of me. Eventually that's going to change, but that's kind of where I'm at.
I understand, man. I mean, so it sounds like that because you were able to see this, like, the stark contrast between, like, what it was like to really be, like, scrapping by and, like, what it's like to be kind of comfortably coasting along, And I would say, at least, that, like, it made you more, like, your sense of gratitude definitely was, like, honed by that. And you saw what it was like on the worst case scenario, on like
people getting food stamps,
people in hell, like just rough. Barely getting by, and it's like a miracle that they even do. But like you also see like the comfortable, lofty life.
Yeah, man.
And I think that, I mean, at least my impression of you is that I think that you were able to understand like what the core fundamentals are, like what's important, from seeing basically what's happening at like the like the really struggling level, but you were also able to see like what's something comfortable that I can obtain, and I think that's a spectrum that like a lot of people have divorced. Like they just grew up in one certain section and they stay in that section for life, and like I mean that definitely contributed towards building towards, I guess, like what you said, your intensity, right?
I mean you had to be, right?
Of course.
I mean I definitely think that there are times that perhaps it is to my detriment, the intensity. It can rub some people the wrong way. A lot of times first impressions, people will find me to be prickly, unfriendly, even mean. And you know what? Maybe they're even right to a point. But
dude, no. See, okay, so I'm going to interrupt you here for a second. But the reason why I know that's not true is because like when we first met each other, we rolled first.
That's true. We did. Yeah.
So and I don't know if you share the same sentiment, but like my not to like detract the conversation, but like my perception of like just like rolling with someone in jiu-jitsu is kind of like you get to meet their personality in a sense, right?
Sure.
Like just based on their techniques, what they go for, and like how much I don't know. Like that's just me. I feel like I get a better sense of. It's kind of like the primal thing, dude, And so, like, definitely with, like, the way that you, like, use, like, you manhandle the fuck out of me, man. For sure. But it's like, you don't lose your ego, you don't lose your cool and just, like, go for, like, the snap. Like, you've always been very considerate, very, like, okay, yes, okay, good. Like, I know some people that just, like, rip for the submission and are just, like, there for, like, the power trip, and I don't get that at all. Like it's.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so like I love rolling with you, man. We can totally roll against it.
I know.
I'm gonna get destroyed, but I just wanted to put that in there.
No, I appreciate that.
For the few people that like actually do jiu-jitsu.
No. I mean, that's kind of cool to hear your initial impression, because that's much more positive one, right? A lot of times I get feedback and they're more negative, and.
Nah, everyone's a wuss.
No, I don't think that's it. No, I don't think that's it. I think that there's some truth. I think I like we've established that I'm pretty intense, but going if it's alright if we just revert back quickly to being at school. I wasn't really able to fit in a lot because of this intensity I've been growing. And I was like, you guys don't understand what it's like to have a dad that hates you. You don't understand what it's like to have, and he'll tell you that. You don't know what it's like to have a gun pointed at you, whatever. And But that's all right, because why would they know? You know what I'm saying? But you don't
Yeah,
know that then?
yeah, yeah.
You know, you feel me?
Like while you're going through it, you're like jealous and envious. Like how come I have to do
I wouldn't
this?
like to admit this, but I'll be straight up with you, man. I was jealous, dude.
Yeah,
I
but-
was envious, you know. to a
But I
point.
can tell where you are now, and,
Yeah.
and gratefully so.
Yeah.
You're in a position where you're just like, you know, this bad stuff happens in the world, and I'm glad that like not everyone experiences it.
Yeah. So, what really started changing things for me, I think, when I was able to really take what it means to be humble or be somebody who wants to be, you know, humble about the way we approach things in life, is that I've been teased throughout my entire life because I've been really fat my entire life.
You showed me pictures.
Yeah. So
I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I really didn't believe it.
Yeah, you know, I've been fat as a kid. You know, food was a way where I could just kind of block out problems because you would feel good. You get endorphins when you eat it as a kid. And so, but like you get bullied hard for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you get called, like, I remember getting called Big Mac on the playground and stuff.
Oh.
Man, it would piss me off though, because we'd be playing basketball or football, and like I'd be outrunning dudes, and like mossing them. Like, I'd be like, I'm a better athlete than you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and here I am getting like just called Big Mac. Like, I'm real sensitive. Like, I still am sensitive, but like I was real sensitive at the time. Like, it would upset me, you know, and that comes out in a lot of anger and frustration. And there were times when I get kicked out of camps, or, you know, for being too physical, because I wouldn't straight out like punch a kid in the face because I was too smart for that. But I mean, I would like, if we were playing,
Give
like,
him a good hip check.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like
Played
right into the wall.
played soccer, I might, you know, tackle a little bit egregiously. So, you know, but I wanted to get at these little punks, and, you know,
Yeah.
I just,
Well, everyone's a monster, you know.
exactly, yeah.
I was a little monster at that time.
I mean, I was, you know, everybody's, you know, they got a little bit of a little mean in them, you know, and I'll find myself at times trying to make a joke that is mean-spirited, and maybe you got to retract and figure out exactly, you know, is this really something you should be saying? But I started losing weight. Would have been, I remember the day, the actual date, kind of lame, but July 9th, 2012. Because it's that big a deal to me. I just been to the doctor, and, you know, as a kid, you go to the doctor, and like they check you, and like they're like talking like, hey, how's things going at school? How things? And, you know, my pediatrician, he was pretty dope. But he was like, hey man, you know, you're a big kid. You got a lot of muscle on you. You know, you got tree trunks for legs, but you know, you might want to think about, you know, getting better shape, losing some weight, because it'll affect you in the long run. And I know you said you want to pursue a career in the military. You know, you got to be in good shape for that. You got to run a lot, and you got to just be generally, you know, physically fit in order to do the job. And I'd heard that, you know, since I was a little kid, and like, you got to be in better shape. You got to be in better shape. And you're just like, I get it. I'm fucking fat, dude. Like I'm aware of this. I see it in the mirror. I'm not thrilled about it. I just haven't figured out how to go about it yet. But yeah. So I started just, you know, training, running, you know, slowly losing weight, and that just started fed off itself, man. And, you know, the huge thing was like the nutrition part of it, and just literally starving yourself, like. Yeah, that's probably not the smartest way to do it, but I remember like just going to bed. My goal was to go to bed as hungry as possible and not eat till the next day. Yeah, and like
that's definitely not the right way to do this.
no, it's probably not. But there you go. That kind of illustrates who I am, man. It's like, I'm gonna do things hard. I'm gonna go hard as I can. And so I was like, this is how I'm gonna do it, and it was done. I just started doing it, and I was pretty excited about that, right? Because you start small, but it builds on itself, man. It gets itself in this momentum, and you start like dropping pounds. And I was like 285 at my heaviest, so I wanted to drop, like, the doctor said, hey, let's try to drop, you know, 30 pounds, 40 pounds by the end of your high school career. And I was like, fuck that. I dropped 40 pounds it was in July, by the end of August. I dropped 40 pounds, man. So I was like, let's bring it, dude. I'm taking this to the next level. And, you know, I was just trying to work hard as possible. And everybody all of a sudden started to notice like a change. They're like, oh, this kid says he wants to do things in life. He wants to be in the military stuff. But now he's actually kind of demonstrating the qualities that maybe someone could potentially do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was like, I don't care what any of y'all think. Like I'm going after this, and like I just put my head down, man. And my junior year in high school was one of the darkest years for me probably ever. You know, not too many friends. Mainly because like I didn't really put in the time to make friendships. I was quick to push people aside and say, you don't know what it's like to see what I've seen, blah blah blah, make excuses. I'm gonna just go train. I'm just put my head. I'm gonna train. You know, I'm gonna try to lose weight. I'm going to try to do as well as I can in classes. You know, and I was actually very successful in classes. You know, I was successful on my sports team, specifically hockey, and I was just working hard and giving as much effort as I could to that. You know, trying to overcome whatever challenges came my way. And, you know, there was a lot of dark, negative thoughts I had. And there were times where, you know, you're thinking, and I'll be straight up with you, and suicide was something that was relevant because I was like, I don't fit in this school.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends here. I remember one time standing on an overpass right by my house, and it, like, goes over, like, a street of cars, man. I'm standing on the overpass, and I'm thinking, I could just jump right now, man. This could all be over. I don't have to go through this pain anymore. I don't have to deal with all the frustration. I don't have to go listen to dumb kids every day just talking about things I don't care about at all. I don't. But then, you know, you're thinking about doing it. And then I thought, you know, but look at all the progress we've made. We made some decent progress. You know, we're in control here.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to become a person that when we leave a legacy we can be proud of, and most importantly that, you know, my mom and sister can be proud of. And I was like, killing yourself, that's cowardly. You're giving up. That's quitting. That's not how I want to be remembered. So I remember distinctly like taking like a step back from the edge, man, both literally on the edge of the overpass, but also I guess more metaphorically from the edge of that abyss of darkness, right? Of ending it or going back into the hardships, the challenges, the pain. But that's okay, because that's sometimes how it works, and I've just got to face it and I got to push myself. And so I'm so glad I did, man, because I've just been able to continue to build physically and mentally in the training areas. But, you know, I think one area that I'm perhaps not explaining very well is that I unfortunately put so much effort and emphasis sort of into trying to build myself physically and mentally for you know, training purposes, that I lacked the social abilities, right, of a normal, you know, normal high school kid. So like I'd never been to like a party before, you know what I'm saying, a high school party.
No, me too, man.
Yeah.
I was in the same boat, man.
Oh yeah, no, you know, I was way more familiar with playing some Call of Duty, or like running
video games
or running
weekends,
through a forest, you know what I'm saying, or
okay, I don't know about that.
Okay, well, that's what I like to do.
Exercise.
I was like, well, you do jiu-jitsu, you're training jiu-jitsu.
I've been failing to go to the gym, so it's.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Yeah, I want you to remember how you worked hard for a bit, and you can get back there. But so I definitely lacked the confidence to overcome the social anxiety and sort of operate in that environment, right, where you got people around you, let's say at a big party or something, and I just want to sit in the corner, man, and I just want to sit on a couch and chill, you know?
Okay, but like, so is that really what you want to do? Like, you really just want to hug the wall, or do you want to speak to people but you're afraid to?
Okay, that I think, yeah, you're right.
So here's the thing. I feel like I was very much in the same shoes that you were. Like in high school, like I had a very small group of friends, very, very, very small, like less than like the fingers on my hands, you know what I mean? So
I do know.
It was very rough, and then like even those friends, it wasn't at like a perfect like synchronization, you know, where I could like express myself 100%. So there's definitely like some stuff that like you bottle up and you kind of just like you don't have anyone to share your truth with, you know? And I feel like you definitely have lived a much more stark contrast than I have, you know? But it's that kind of like separation where it's just really difficult to connect with people. And I think that going into college, I had a lot of anxiety with talking to people, and it's really tough because like on the rare occasions that I'll be invited to a party in college, right? On the very few occasions where somebody thought I was cool enough to be their plus one, that I would actually go there and just like hug the walls because I didn't know anyone. Now I was like, how do I even do this?
Right.
Like it's crazy to me. I'm just like, I don't know anyone. They're gonna know that I don't know anyone, and then they're gonna know that like I'm not like one of them. I'm not in their friend group, and you just like, I'm gonna go home. And then like the next day you're like, shit, I wish I like talked to like all those people, you know. And it's just like, oh man, it's tough. So my approach, and this might be because like you focused on like the physical training and like the mental sharpening, and I totally did not go to the gym ever for all of college, but I focused more on like just like like it sounds so nerdy and weird, but just like researching how to talk to people, how to make people like, you know, like connect with people and stuff like that. And like I found that over time I was able to slowly piece together and slowly like kind of like get better and better and better and better at like meeting people. So I don't think, just based on like how I know you, I don't think that you're like an introvert, even though you might think you are.
That's shocking to me, man.
I think you're I definitely think you're an extrovert, but I think that you're just afraid of like that social situation. And it's
Could be possible, man.
I think it's perfectly understand because it's like a completely different realm. But I think it's something that you will definitely conquer.
Well, that's cool, man. You know, it's interesting because you were mentioning before making connections with people and sort of building a relationship. The people I connected with in high school and early on in college I worked a job working on the grounds crew for my high school in the summers, back-breaking manual labor. And the dudes I did it with were a bunch of adult male Salvadorian immigrants. And I got real tight with them. They were my best friends, like some of them. I'm not even joking. Like, I didn't even speak Spanish. They didn't really speak English. And you talk back and forth. He's sort of speaking broken English. I have a couple things in Spanish. We're not really understanding each other's words, but we do understand each other's attitudes.
Yeah.
They appreciate. They saw me at school, right? They knew that I was. I could have been just another rich white kid, but no, they saw me there grinding next to them, back breaking, picking weeds for my first week, dude. I was just after my freshman year, high school. I was working on the grounds crew, and for the first 7 days, just picking weeds in the hot Virginia sun, just baking down on you, man. And it's just like, oh my god, this is tumultuous, man. Why you guys do this every goddamn day? And the guys are just like, see, like every day. And I'm just like, why would you do this every day? And they're just like, hey, we gotta feed how I feed my kids, how I feed my family. I was just like, man, you got a lot to learn, Drake, about what it means to work hard for something bigger than yourself. So I was able to make connections with them and truly loved my experience working with the guys because they taught me a lot about what it is to be a young adult and grow into a man, because it was like a man does his job, right? A man takes on a task and pushes themselves to do it the best they can, and they're doing it a lot of times not because you want to. I don't want to pick weeds for a week, though.
Yeah.
Or I mean, or for however long, we would pick weeds and we would do landscaping stuff, but it would alternate after that. They gave me a break. They noticed that I was worth the cut, so I got some other jobs going after that. But they're like, yeah, we don't want to dig a ditch. I remember digging a ditch for like 2 weeks straight, man. This irrigation ditch, just blisters over the hand, man. But I loved it. I loved the work because it gave me an opportunity to demonstrate that, hey, I'm somebody who's going to do it. I'm somebody who's going to push through this task when most other people would say, not worth it, I don't want to do it. When all these other kids, it was a way to separate myself out from the rest of the kids I was going to school with, right? That's something I took a lot of pride in. I was like, I'll do this work. I'll do your work for you, man. You sit down and relax. I'll get after it. Like, I just want to demonstrate I'm going to work hard, man. I'm here to get better, to learn something about construction or landscaping, and and also demonstrate that I'm not like these soft rich kids, which now thinking back to it, maybe that's not the most decent way to think of them, but that's sort of my mentality at the time.
Yeah.
And they seem to appreciate that because they would say like, yeah, he is here to work hard, and that's all I wanted. I wanted you to, if you like saw me, I wanted you to think maybe that kid isn't as academically proficient as the rest of these kids. He might not be as athletically able as our superstars, but you know what? He's the hardest working motherfucker I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And God damn it, he terrifies me. So like, I think I did a good job of I think he's sort of cultivating that image. So I think, and it was crazy. I was able to like make such great connections with these guys. I would eat lunch with them every day. For 6 straight summers, you know what I'm saying? I would sometimes go during my lunch break during the school year, go sit with them too. I just liked them that much, had such a great time talking with them, hearing their perspectives. They might not be highly educated, but they're still very, they're not dumb. They're smart people, right? They hearing the story of immigration from El Salvador, the Civil War that was there, sort of the troubles they went through, growing up on farms, a lot of fascinating individuals and characters there that helped me grow, certainly as an individual, and the work itself. So I think you're right that there's the ability there to make connections. I do like connecting with people. I do like hearing what they have to say. It's just in a social situation where you're primarily with younger people that my age or at the time in high school, it's difficult for me to give them that opportunity because I have negative associations from my past. So that's something that I have to be willing to sort of set aside and say, hey, these people don't know you at all. They don't come from whatever background. You don't know anything about them. How about you just shut those thoughts up in your head saying they're not worth it and just give them a shot. So, that's sort of where I've tried to have developed myself, I guess, in the social area, so that I can, have the chance to meet new people and like you, who has a lot of interesting things to say, new people. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know each other until January. Yeah. So it's I'm glad we do. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You could go down with most of the people who we do jiu-jitsu with, or we could some people. I didn't give people on my rugby team really a chance as much as I should have, and I wish I had done that more throughout my career there. But luckily, I still have, hopefully, a lot of life left. So
no, you definitely do.
So I'm looking to build on that. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess but definitely, that first year in college, right, in freshman year, we would have rugby mixers where we would mix with a sorority, and I would go to them and I'm like, I've never been to a party really before. What do I do here? And I would just stand there and. To be honest with you, I didn't think they were even that much fun. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of people, because I didn't drink my first 2 years of college at all. I was like, I don't drink. I'm not like you guys. I'm disciplined.
Yeah.
No, but it's such a cocky attitude. But I don't drink. I have to wake up and train tomorrow, man, or I have work tomorrow. What you doing with your life? You getting drunk? Cool, dude. Catch you never,
catch you never.
It's like the way I would see things, but definitely. And then you get annoying girls coming why you look so angry or stuff like that at parties. I'll just be like, because I am, because you're annoying or something like that. Just blatant why.
Oh,
and then I remember teammates just being like, Drake, relax. They're just, you don't have to have such an angry reaction to them. They're well. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I would argue that, at least this is how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah,
of course. I don't know if other people feel the same way, but it's kind of I feel like a year in college kind of feels longer than it does a year in high school. And I personally think it's because, in high school, you have the same classes from September to June, May, whenever the hell you graduate, or August, whenever you start, right, the academic year. And I think that in college, because you have, separate semesters, they feel like a year themselves. Yeah. So, I wouldn't beat yourself, because I wouldn't beat yourself up too much, because you know what I mean. It sounds like you're kind of no, I'm more disciplined than you. You know what I mean? It's no, I'm better than you. But
when I'm not. By the way, I'm not trying to. I'm not.
No.
I'm not better than anybody. I'm just as messed up, just as make mistakes, just like everyone else. That's part.
Yeah,
of
but it's just it feels like you are very like closed off. You know what I mean? At that point in your life,
Yeah.
and now you're kind of. But like, I'm very glad that you've come to realization. Like, you know what? Let's hear what they have to say first, and we'll figure out what. Because like that's the entire point of the podcast is for me to just. Okay, so you listen to podcasts just like me, right? We both
man.
love Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Woo, Joe Rogan.
Big fanboy myself.
Yeah, we both listen to Joe Rogan. I'm guessing The Fighter and the Kid.
Love Fighter and the Kid. Yeah.
Jocko Willink.
Listen to Jocko podcast all
Okay.
day.
But I don't know if do you listen to Jordan Peterson?
Not as much. I've only heard him on those podcasts.
He's
I know he's got a tremendously interesting things to say.
yeah. But there was one podcast with Jocko Willink and Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, two actually.
And okay, well
Yeah.
I haven't caught up then I guess.
That's fair.
But like you understand what I mean? It's like it's really interesting that the person who takes the like purely academic route versus someone who takes like the purely mental, physical sharpening. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
that.
yeah.
The more I guess like embodied approach.
Sure.
Right.
The operator.
Yeah. And they both like arrive at the same kind of conclusion.
Yeah,
Right.
that
So
was cool,
so like even though I feel like I definitely took the more like nerdy route and you definitely like can like lift more than my life.
that's we can change that, man. That's something.
Yeah,
we can work
let's
on.
hope. But like it's interesting because I definitely completely relate to you on like everything that you said. Like like just the like the loneliness through high school, and I completely agree with you. I've definitely been depressed many times in my life, you know, even to the point of like suicidality. And it's not like an easy topic to talk about, and I think that's a little fucked up because we should talk about it because
I do too,
the worst thing was that you feel alone, right?
yeah.
And I think holy shit, loneliness sucks. I think one of the most interesting things was that like prisoners on death row who are, you know, facing death because they like, you know, murdered a bunch of people or like, you know, heinous crimes like rape and stuff like that. Like the worst thing you can do to them, you know, one step removed from death is to just like put them in solitary confinement. You know, just leave them alone with no human contact and they'll drive them fucking insane.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of that just happens. Like even though we're so interconnected with the internet that like we still feel lonely. And I think that's something that like at least I want to focus on. And I think that's something that you took and were able to like culminate into, I guess, what you would call your intensity.
Yeah, no, I definitely I'll more have to talk about loneliness, man. It's because it's something that I've felt a lot of. It gets lonely
Yeah.
thinking the way I do, training the way I do. You know, when you get up early in the morning, you know, and you're running, and then it's part of. I do enjoy being alone. I generally do enjoy being alone, and I've been able to be. And within the last year, I would say that I've kind of taken the steps in maturity to recognize that I do like it. It's okay, but I do also wonder. Like I also kind of am curious, you know, what it's like to be, you know, in a around people you really truly enjoy, you know, and I'm lucky. I'm really fortunate because here at BU, you know, I have, you know, 7 or really really close friends.
Yeah.
That I feel comfortable with, and I feel fortunate to see on a weekly basis, you know, and I don't, you know, it's all about, for me, I was getting it confused because I used to think it used to be the quantity, right?
Yeah.
How many people do you have in your life that you can like be friendly with? But then I soon learned that it's the quality and the type of people and the type of relationships that you're developing. The ability to talk to understand, to appreciate. So,
Yo.
hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. You know, I definitely think that's an area that I've sort of come to understand. But loneliness, for sure. You know, when you don't have much other than, you know.
No, it sucks.
Your
I
mom,
know.
your
I
sister,
totally understand.
Right? And you're making more friends on, you know, Xbox Live than in person.
That's no. I mean, like I totally agree. Like I did the exact same thing. I turned like it's weird because like as much as like people want to like shit talk like the friendships you have like online or something like that. Like at the time, like that's what was available and that's like what's sustained. You know what I mean? That's at least for me. That's what was sustaining.
And it was stable because you'd go on, right, and they'd be there and you'd be, and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, what's going on, man? How was your day? And like, I remember, like, I was friends with like a 45-year-old dude who lived in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Right? Like, that's not like even close by. We don't have necessarily anything in common other than we like to play this video game. We like to communicate while playing this video game, and he was a person that was willing to listen, and I was willing to, I guess, open up, because I don't know why exactly, but that's just how it went. So, I was pretty. It was pretty. You're right. Like, that is what you've got at the time.
Yeah.
And so, you can make fun if you want, but I don't regret doing that at all. Really, it just also means that it might have taken perhaps away time that you might have been trying to become friends or build relationships in actually person. So
Okay, but like at the same time, like I've definitely experienced that same kind of like social anxiety, where it's like it's very difficult. You know what I mean? And it might even be, at least my high school was like somewhat, not like small, minuscule small.
how
But it was
big was your graduating class?
I think 250.
Yeah, mine was 97.
Yeah, so that's what I know. So we definitely can see, because I know some of my friends have like, oh, my graduating class was like 1,080. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
like, you don't even,
What?
you will not
It's a
have
lot
the
of
same
people,
friend
yeah.
groups throughout
Yeah.
all 40 years.
Yeah,
you
you'll
know,
see people in your grade and not have any idea who they are.
and I think the hardest thing is that like growing up from like, especially if you're in the same like district, or like from like first grade all the way to senior year of high school, is that whatever your first impression is what people judge you by. Right? And it's like whatever and it sucks because like they don't, I guess at that point in our lives we don't really have the conceptualization that people can change over time. And it's just like, oh, I remember I met this kid in 6th grade, he was weird. But then like maybe I'm in 10th grade, maybe I'm in 10th grade, bitch, and maybe I'm a lot cooler. Who knows?
Or maybe we're all in 10th grade and we're all weird. Because
Yeah.
guess
No,
what?
we're always weird.
Yeah, like I mean, you just gotta recognize that there's some weirdness to the way
Yeah.
you approach things.
No, but that's definitely what like a part of like maturing is, right? Is realizing that like, hey, like my weirdness, if I can hone it right, is actually what makes me an individual.
Exactly, is what makes you cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what separates you out from everyone else. So I mean, it definitely is a sort of something that you have to learn to appreciate.
Yeah.
And identify, because if you can identify it and know it and then just rock it like you don't care, then hey, that's what makes you real. And,
Yeah.
And I'd rather be real than considered cool, whatever. I just don't care. I try to be real with people. I try to be straightforward.
No, I
sometimes blunt to the point.
No, that's perfect.
Where some people get put off by it, but you know what I'm saying. But I guess part of that would be then, hey Drake, learn how to maybe incorporate your straightforward attitude in a way that allows other people to palate it better, right? That would be the next step, because that's how. I mean, you can't go into life like just assuming everyone's
What's up, bitches?
yeah, everyone's gonna like change for you, right? They're not gonna like you've got to sort of mold to figure out how they are, and that way you can get the most out of what you got to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something I've had to learn at my job here at BU, especially taking on like leadership roles where
Yeah.
I was a supervisor for people now, right? And they're younger kids and they're freshman, sophomore, and they might be experiencing different problems, and I never had a supervisor who would like really help me grow mentally and mature. Not necessarily in terms of the job, because it's the job. I work at the live Newgard. Like what I'm saying. We sit behind a desk. Like,
Yeah.
sick, bro. Your security. What's going to happen? Probably nothing. But if it does,
Probably
you can't do anything anyways. But like,
Are you stealing that book, sir?
I'm gonna have to ask you to check that out. Like it's like, and even then they could just be like, a little later. Like they even have to listen. Really, your authority is pretty minimal. However, what you can do is you can help. And this is why I like training people too, like yourself.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming out, because guess what?
Even though I haven't been coming at all.
I mean, hey, listen, man. Listen, that's something you can change just by just making it happen.
Yeah.
But like, it was an opportunity where you can sort of like take on the way I've been mentored by the guys I worked with back home on the ground crew. I was able to now take on that mentorship role as
Yeah,
a side,
it feels great
compared
to
being
be on
the
both
mentee.
sides of that relationship.
Exactly. So now I'm trying to help people. I'm gonna hopefully not come across as lecturing, because I don't want to do that, but hopefully understand where they're coming from and then try to help them navigate their college careers, because it can be difficult working a job and having 4 or 5 classes and then whatever extracurriculars you have and whatever family life you have. So yeah, I tried to make myself available to the people I was working with, and the same thing when I train people, and that's probably the area that I take the most pride in, is helping others achieve, not only like physically getting stronger, getting faster, but pushing past their comfort zones is what I love to see, both in myself, because it's hard, but also with others. And so, there the couple guys I'll cite specifically. There's this one guy, I'm his roommate now, and he came to train with me the first time, and
Dude, your training scared the fuck out of me.
and so, but we weren't even doing it. Like for him, it was like rugby based stuff. He wanted to get better at running for rugby. So I was like, "Oh, we'll do running, man. No worries. We'll run 400-meter sprints all day. Literally, we'll do it all day." And so he's like, "I don't know, man." But he came, and he's not the greatest. He's a great sprinter. He could sprint really fast for 50 meters, and then after 50 meters, he's killing it. And then it's just like I have no endurance. I can't. Like it was strange, but he didn't really have any agility. He could just run really fast in a straight line for kind of a short period of time. So I was like, he's like, I'd like to be able to last 80 minutes in a rugby game. I was like, all right, well, we'll build just sprint endurance, right? So we were teammates. We know each other. I actually didn't really like him when I first met him. I just wanted to help him get better.
Flame.
Yeah. Oh no, he knows. I've told him this.
Fuck you to your face.
Yeah. No, I didn't really like him. He's kind of arrogant for no reason, but you know what? That's all right. Let's get you out there. Let's train. So he came, and he was dying almost every single session. Like he would like come back to his room, and like we lived right next to each other, and so he would sit down and be lying, like just looking at the ground. I don't know, red face. He might have been dead, but he kept coming back and back and back, and he kept getting better. He kept getting better, right? And so it over, and then 2 years later, right? So we were sophomore or freshman year, and sophomore year, junior. So after junior year, he PR'd in his mile time, fastest he'd ever done in his life, right? He like cut it down by like 4 minutes. Right.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so he ran like a 6-minute 30 mile, right? Which, hey, listen, you're not going to the Olympics, but guess what? That's a big deal for him.
Yeah,
I don't even care. I don't even care about the time. I really don't. I care that he made such an improvement, and I care that he was proud about himself. You feel me? So like he was excited. He won't tell you he was excited. He'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. I don't care." But
he was excited. Yeah, he saw it.
He was happy. Like you could see it in his eyes. Like he was thrilled that he made that improvement. He just constantly pushed himself, did billions of burpees, running hills, running just laps and laps and push-ups, pull-ups, dips, whatever, just getting after it, training hard, going to rugby, getting better, maybe we kind of sucked at rugby, I'll be honest with you. But he trying to be a better teammate, and ultimately it was such a joy for me to see him improve. That's what mattered. Like I was proud for him, and I was proud of him, and like the fact that he did that was such a special experience for me. Like obviously, I also got better in that time, because it forced me to have a second workout in the day, because I do my own thing in the morning, do something at night with him. So it's forced me to train twice a day, forced me to train harder. Right, I was tired a lot of times going there, but I knew he was going to be there. We held each other accountable, and so it was just, and ultimately it demonstrated to him that he can push past that little voice in your head saying, "Nah, stop, man. You're gonna hurt yourself if you keep going, or it's not worth it. We're tired. Let's just chill. Watch some YouTube, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, none of that. Get that voice gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to. Sometimes there's a place for that, and you can enjoy it more. But sometimes there's a place where you can say, "Hey, I can put that aside, and I can push through sort of whatever pain it is to get to that next level." And seeing him be able to develop that is truly important, because he's not going to be a pro athlete. He's not necessarily going to be needing to be the most physically astounding freak in the world, but you know what? He can take that to his job and whatever he does because he's
Yeah.
got that mental capacity to overcome adversity.
I think that's one of the interesting things about exercise is like as you see yourself like progress, it kind of spills out into the rest of your life, where you're like, wow, if I actually like focus on this, I can get better at it. And I'm not sure if that's something that like you've experienced with like your physical training translating towards your like academic studies.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Freshman year of high school, I was getting like C pluses and everything, right? This is but a really academically rigorous school, right? Where they churn out people.
Yeah, highest
Team-
deflation rate in the nation, bro.
Sorry, I'll talk about BU in a second, but this was at my high school.
Oh, okay, even worse. Okay, cool.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, 8 years of suffering. Let's go for that.
yeah. Well, come on, man. Let's do this. If we're gonna do it hard, let's make it hard. Let's go 8. But like, but yeah, no, freshman year. I mean, it's a type of school where everyone goes to college, and that's the expectation. Everyone goes to college.
Yeah.
Most kids get straight A's. Most kids are looking to go to Ivy Leagues. That's a realistic thing for most of them, right? Is that similar to your experience?
Yeah.
Okay.
My high school is pretty much similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean,
but I was
Whatever.
not. I'm not like that. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not academically.
no, I'm not either.
My sister, brilliant, gets a 4.0 here at BU, right? But me, not so much. But what I was able to do was start to like put all that like focus and energy into academics more so, and had the confidence to push myself there. So like you get good, like you get C pluses, you might not be going places, right? But luckily, I was able to grow and develop, and then I did start getting better at school and started proving, like, hey, this kid's not an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could get better. There's some potential. You know, that's the difference. Yeah.
Exactly. But, you know, it's interesting you mentioned that because coming to BU, my freshman year, right, you get a certain amount of financial aid, right? And so depending on how well you do academically, that can change real quick. And so I remember my freshman year at BU, I got a 2.02 GPA.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts my soul, man.
Yeah, well, it was hurting my soul then too. And you needed a 2.0 to retain your financial aid at BU. So
Jesus.
To put this into, you know, even more dire context, I was 0.02, you know, away from coming back here, you know what I'm saying, and wasting this opportunity to go get a secondary education, to make the most out of my college career. I almost just pissed it away in the first year. Why? Because I was letting everyone around me piss me off, and I was just running all day instead of going to class. But
oh, wow.
yeah, or not.
Damn, man. You
not
got that
all,
resentment running through you, man.
It wasn't all running. It was like a lot of running and
Yeah.
a lot of sitting in my room
No,
contemplating.
but I'm glad
doing
like throughout the years you were able to like
change that.
yeah
Get better,
whittle
work.
down that like resentment and,
Yeah.
and like focus it more towards like self betterment.
Exactly. There you go. That's key, right? Yeah, because man, it wasn't doing anything good. I mean, it was good for the physical stuff, like great.
Yeah, you ran harder than ever.
But-
Fuck these kids! Ow!
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of just like I remember, I remember talking to a guy once, and I was like, "Man, I'll be out there at 2:30 in the morning running." And and he's like, "What? Are you okay?
Fuck?
Are you all right?"
No, exact same reaction from me, dude. That's not.
And I was just like, "Yeah, man, I'm why?" He's like, "Why?" I was like, "I was too angry to sleep, man. I just run sometimes at that time." And he's just like, "Okay, what do you see?" I'm like, "I see a bunch of drunk college kids not getting some." And like he's just like, "Okay, Drake, but here's the thing. They're still out at 2:30 in the morning, like you. You're both still out there, right? There is a connection that like you're both seeking something." Right, you're just approaching it differently. They're distracting themselves with alcohol, drugs, whatever, and you're more or less distracting yourself or dealing with this with just intense training, so that it makes you mentally think about other things. Right, perhaps you should open up to the idea that what's going on here. You probably got similar things in your mind, and I'm just like. What? Like, no. What? Wait, you're saying other people could be angry like me? That's not possible. There's no chance. That's a thing, right? Like, I don't believe you. He's just like, well, you don't have to believe me. Just maybe potentially think about this in the future. And I was just like, yeah, whatever. This dude don't know what he's talking about. And a couple.
Who is this guy? This guy is like your guru.
Yeah,
He's your shaman, dude.
He's just
That's like such a crazy amount of like insight.
Just a gentleman that I like a mentor to me. So
It's beautiful. No,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like that's like really like heartwarming.
Yeah.
To hear that like you had that switch because like it's so easy. It's like easier to go down that like road of like just like fuck these kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like and maybe not necessarily in your outlet where it's just like I'm gonna run as hard as I want, but like there's definitely a lot of people out there who are just like very fuck everyone else kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous thing. And I'm I'm so glad that you like literally steered it 180 degrees to like I'm gonna go as hard as I can to just like help save the world. Like,
Well, yeah, no, I don't know, but there's definitely some truth there, right? Because it's, yeah, I can say, yeah, fuck everyone, they don't understand, I'm special. No, actually, you're not. You're not special, man. Like you're. Everyone's got issues. Everyone's got problems. Like you're right. It might be useful to actually hearing how they approach it, and you could learn something, and you take ownership for your approach because that's
I love that.
how you're gonna get better, right? That's the only, and it's still check your ego, right? Put that aside for a sec. That's so hard to do sometimes, right? Is saying like, all right, I'm wrong here, and I know I'm wrong. And I'm not approaching this correctly. How do I, change my mentality? That's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's even worse when somebody tells you it, right? And you know they're right, but your first reaction is to be like,
fuck you.
yeah, what are you talking about, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you don't like the person or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. Sometimes I'd be like told to do a
Yeah.
technique in rugby from someone who was like not as good as me or like didn't work as hard as me. And like my first reaction would be like, yeah, you go get back on the bench, bitch. But then all of a sudden I was like thinking about it, and then I was like, he's right. Like I should move my like legs here. I should bend in this way in order to make sure I can get low enough to secure the ruck or whatever. And it's just like, God damn it, like I actually got to do what this kid said. And then you don't necessarily just brush off everything people might initially say, and you actually start, hey, just close your mouth, listen.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude,
you can learn.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
We're trying to learn here, and let's see how that goes. And if what they say truly is not worth it, well, fine. Decide after. You know what I'm saying? Because listening doesn't take anything away from you. It will only add.
Yeah.
You feel me? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, I. Oh my god, I'm so glad you said that. I was like, I 100% agree. Everyone always asks me like, oh my god, Stefan, you have a podcast. How do you do that? You must be like so extroverted. And in the meantime, I'm like, no, I talk like 3 sentences the whole time. You have no idea. I'm just listening the whole time. It's crazy because like the world is so complex and so crazy and so full of like suffering and tragedy that everyone will always experience something that you can't even fucking imagine.
For sure, man.
And I think that just like, for just a moment, if you could just shut the fuck up, right? And you can just like, let's just take a back seat here and just listen to what other people have to say. I guarantee you they'll tell you something interesting. And I know you don't listen to Jordan Peterson as much as like me and Ben do.
Apparently, I gotta change.
Yeah.
Best be learning something new quick.
But and a very interesting quote that he said was that like if the person you're talking to isn't interesting, it's because you're not listening right. And I've taken that very seriously, and it's dramatically improved the relationships that I've had in my life. I like people who I thought were like boring, like, oh my god, fuck you, get away from me, like, people that are like flip off under my desk or whatever, just end up becoming like,
It's become
passive
aggressive there, man.
yeah, immediately just switch to become like, holy shit, you're like the most interesting person ever, tell me more. It's like, these are moments I should be like taking a back seat. This is my break. I'm gonna enjoy this,
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm glad that you have that approach, and I have zero doubt that you will grow to become an extrovert over the next few years for sure.
Okay, well,
I'm confident, man.
That's an interesting take, man. I've never actually had someone say that before. Believe it or not.
No, you will. If you approach it with the same kind of drive that you have with just like physical training, for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
it's-
true. If that it's contingent on me, right?
Of course.
it's
And
about
then-
me, and I'm gonna have to actually put in the work.
But man, I'm telling you from the other side,
Okay.
it's fucking great, dude. It's
appreciate it.
amazing. Literally everything becomes interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you definitely like. It's at least today. I feel like it's, even though we're more interconnected with the internet, we're a lot more disconnected with like the personal, with like the human condition, and that's something that's just really hard to come by because there's no instruction besides just like putting yourself out there. You know, like
That's hard.
you're,
man.
no, you're gonna
It's
eat
just-
shit, man. Like, there's gonna be times where you're like, you think your PR is some like amazing weight, and then like you're like, wait, what the fuck? I lifted more last time, and you just eat shit, and you're like, fuck.
You talk a lot about lifting weights, man.
I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to relate it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, yeah. I like cardio stuff. It's interesting to me.
You like cardio?
Yeah, people.
Fuck cardio.
Yeah,
Absolutely fuck cardio.
Yeah, I just-
No way, man. I don't fuck with that
I
at all.
don't understand. I know people see me and they're like, "Oh, 6'4", 210 pounds. Like he must like lift a lot of weights." It's like, I mean, yeah, not like some people, right?
No.
You know, train weights. You know,
Yeah.
train to be functional.
Yeah, you're not
I
like,
like to run. I like to swim. I like to do burpees, man. I mean, sometimes I don't like doing it, but you know, sometimes you gotta get the burpees done.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm telling you, man, you got to do both.
Can we swim? Like sometimes, like
Yeah, of course. You've asked before, and I'm always. You have.
Yeah.
You know how to
Let's
reach
do it.
me.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
But-
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, no, but
It's just okay. So like,
it's about both. It's
I
about
see
both.
it. No, because like I've definitely I've worked out with you before.
Yeah.
And it's not just weight. Like, it's like fucking hard on cardio, dude. Like, when
Yeah.
I'm pulling the rope on the, like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, dude. I like, anywhere else but here. Anywhere else but here is fine. Oh my god, imagine you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Well,
and
no,
it's just like,
But think about it. That's designed to improve your not only your cardiovascular but your muscular endurance in addition
No,
to your
but-
grip strength.
okay, but
that'll carry over to jitsu. I promise you.
I know. You're 100% right. What I'm saying is, I am a little bitch.
I wouldn't say that either.
Okay, I see that shit and I'm just like, fuck that. Give me a McDonald's burger instead. Fuck that. It's just like, it's so difficult. And so that's why, like, I think that what you describe in yourself as your intensity is something that, admittedly, I'm envious. I'm envious as fuck as that.
Well, it's just I'm interested to hear that because a lot of people say like, "Oh, I'm envious of that or such and such," and I'm like, "Bro, it's not that difficult or it is difficult to develop, I suppose." But it's something that's attainable.
It
It's-
is.
It's not like you go and say, "Man, I love your blue eyes, dog." It's like now, you can't have blue eyes because you just genetics.
Wait,
at
hold
that
on. Let
point.
me focus on my genome.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can't just think like, oh, I'm going to effort my eyes to turn blue. Like that's not a thing. However, you can put in the effort to improve. Whatever thing. If you're looking
Yeah.
to squat more, if you're looking to run fast, if you're looking to swim further, if you're looking to get on a bike and bike up a mountain, whatever it is you're into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's if you're looking to submit people more from the bottom, right? There's a lot of
That's my
different.
fucking game, bro.
Yeah,
That's my fucking game.
Right, exactly. So
Are you going Thursday?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay,
I'll
sick.
be there.
Can we roll?
We can. Yes.
First roll. Just don't hold back. Just go hard as just go. Yeah.
I always do.
Good. Good,
I'm
good. I
not too
appreciate
good at holding backs, but I will. I'm looking forward to that. But no, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something you're envious of it. But guess what? You can. Anyone can.
I,
you know
okay,
what I'm
so
saying?
so the worst thing
It's
is
not special. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
okay. So the worst thing is I know I can attain it,
Okay.
and that the guilt in it is that like I know I can attain it, but I failed to do it. If anything, that's gonna drive me more because I know that's like I have an idea in my head. What if I did everything that I know wasn't good for me, and I just like took the easy way out and just like, nah, let's just do the comfortable thing, and everything just like spiraled down. And I have that image in my head very clearly, and it's like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I want to run as far away as I can from that, and
Well, and let me just be completely honest. I do that as well.
Yeah.
From time to time. Not so much like with the training stuff. I'm pretty good at being consistent. I'm very good at being consistent about it. However, you put me in a bar and you say, "Hey, go talk to that attractive girl." I'm gonna be like, hey man, why don't you go fucking kick every rock? Like
Kick every
go
rock.
kick every single rock you can find. Like I don't know about. I'm gonna sit here and just think about what it'd be like to actually talk to her. All right, but you know what I'm saying. So like, yeah, you're right. But but that just again, it just illustrates that everyone sort of has the strengths and weaknesses that we're looking to build off of, and
Yeah.
it's just sometimes overcoming that mental block that's saying like, hey, be comfortable when it should be saying, hey, let's be comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes any sense,
Yes.
right? Let's be
Yes.
comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. This is nothing revolutionary, by the way.
Yeah.
This is stuff you hear all the time
Yeah.
from guys like Jocko, from guys like Joe Rogan, from guys who do comedy, from Jordan, from we're on a first name basis, I guess now, but Jordan Peterson. But like, you know, from everybody who's actually done something, right? That they'll tell you the same thing, and I think that's kind of what I've been able to take from everyone that I listen to and kind of condense it is they're all taking risks. They're all being uncomfortable, but they're learning to be comfortable there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what makes them extraordinary people, and why we like listening to them, and why we want to be like them. At least I do. I want to be like all these guys, right? Every single one of them. It doesn't. They're all from different fields, from different backgrounds.
But you want to take like the
I want
important
to take
things out of each
little
one
pieces of them and apply them to myself, so I can grow and to become a similar individual, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's definitely something that you're more than capable of, right? Because you're intelligent, right? You're able to take in information, think abstractly upon it, and then apply it to whatever the situation is. So, I mean, that's step one is identifying it. Step two is executing it. And sometimes
That's the
things
hard
get-
part, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
it's-
hardest part.
Yes, the execution can be difficult, right? So that's where you got to build a plan.
I
guess.
think that's where a lot of people have a difficulty because they think that they like because I want this, I'm gonna make it happen, and I think that's the hard part because like you have to like kind of bargain with yourself in a sense, where it's like, okay, maybe you don't want to go to the gym at like 5 a.m. Let's try.
So let's go at 3:30 a.m.
No,
You got it.
No.
Yeah,
Okay. No.
man. Step 5, trying to get after it at 3:30. I like
No, not that driven. No,
Okay.
no. Maybe let's bargain. Maybe let's bargain. Let's wake up at 6:30, and then maybe 6:15, and then maybe 6, and then maybe 5:45. And you know what I mean? Like it's
I do. I used to get up at 6. Then I was like, all right, let's get up earlier.
this is baby shit.
I was like, let's get. I didn't know. But you build up to it. Then I started getting up at 4:50. Then I started getting up at 4:30. Now I get up at 3:30 most days. So like, you're able to push yourself. It's hard, man. And sometimes I fail. I'll be honest with you. You know?
Okay, but how much of that is okay? So I find my difficulty is that like I end up enjoying my life so much that like if someone like if I have a friend over, I'll just stay up with them till 2. Like I don't give a shit. Like
But that's interesting. I get that sort of.
because like
But you know what I do? You know what I do on Friday night? When all my friends are having a good time, I say, night. and I go to bed at 9:30. Like I'm the most boring 22-year-old like ever the whole time.
No,
man.
we're gonna bring you out. We're gonna bring you out.
Like everybody's having a good time. People are like, yeah, we're gonna get turned, the shots, blah blah blah. And
No.
I'm
We're
just
gonna
like,
get you very well equipped. No, we're gonna socialize the fuck out of you, dude.
yeah, that's funny, man. But yeah, no, you just say, hey, listen, guys, I get dinner with them Friday night, and then I go to bed, and I wake up the next morning, and Ben and I have training. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, and then Saturday nights, I'll go up, and then I'll say like, yeah, I'm gonna go out tonight. I'm gonna have a good time. Then it's 11, and I'm just like, oh, it's an hour and a half past my bedtime. Guys. I've got to be sleeping soon. Like I've turned into an old person, I guess.
But I think that's interesting that like it very much feels like you're somebody who is very attenuated towards having a schedule, having routine.
Oh, you gotta have a routine, man. You just gotta abide by the routine.
Okay, so
But you gotta be flexible enough to like change it depending on the situation.
so you have to be adaptable,
Yeah.
but routine is what grounds you. Because I feel like if you have a chaotic enough life where like every day is something fucking different, you're just gonna go nuts. It's too much to handle. Whereas like if you have like some general kind of routine,
Yeah.
life is a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, it's very interesting because, like, I'm very much the kind of person who gravitates towards, like, fuck it, every day let's have something different. I love confronting that. But it feels
so maybe
like...
you're better at sort of just living a spontaneous type of life.
but I'm not gonna get any better without any routine. That's the thing, though, right?
I think it's balanced then, right?
Like, yeah, everybody has to eventually fall into some kind of routine where it's like, hey, this is the time you wake up, this is the time you go to bed, and this is how you get better. Because like you have to be able to set aside time to be able to do the things that you want to improve. And I think it's like incredibly interesting that like you gravitated towards that very early, and obviously you're very intense and like acute to that, you know. And so I just. I know, I don't know, I'm envious of that.
But I'm kind of envious of you, who are just like, yeah, man, I go to a club, man, that's 2 a.m, and I'm doing, spin kicks, having a good time. Like, that seems kind of cool. I'd like to do that once, I like to, or I've stayed up to 2 a.m. before, but I've never had a good time doing it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to, like, actually be in a situation where I find myself having a good time for an entire evening, in a social situation like that. And you know what? I think if around the right people, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
So we're doing this, and I'll show up in a ghillie suit or something. Embarrassing. No, I don't know. But yeah, I actually had been to a bar in a ghillie suit for Halloween. Yeah. It was,
yeah, but it's hot.
I won a contest actually, so it was pretty cool, right? So
that's sick, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, and I actually really liked it because you can't really see my face. Or like my body really well. Something that I should mention, I guess, if we're just being honest here, is I have severe like body dysmorphia. So from my time being fat and all that bullying and stuff. So I don't see myself properly. All I do is see that chubby, 13, 14, 15-year-old who was kind of soft and afraid of working out and stuff, and got winded after running one sprint or whatever. So I struggle to still overcome that. So I have a very, and I'm not proud of this, but this is where I'm at. Like, I kind of, sometimes it's okay, but a lot of times I have kind of a very negative, body image. So going out into a bar or something like that, it's really difficult for me to come out of my skin. So I'm just like, man, nobody wants this big fucking uncoordinated gypsy moving around here trying to pretend like they're dancing or something like that. But the one time I put on a ghillie suit and went out, it was like, man, they can't see my face. This breaks up it's designed to break up the human, body, right? So it literally allowed me camouflage myself metaphorically to the point of where, like, I'm just dancing the entire time, like, just being crazy. Like, people think it's hilarious. Like, I'm the center of attention and I'm okay with it because I know nobody's going to, like, recognize anything other than what I'm wearing on the outside. It was very, like, an interesting experience, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, no, definitely, that hindrance I didn't mention earlier, but like the body dysmorphia thing is not easy when coupling it with like the going to a party or something. Yeah, but it's something that you got to work on. So you can't just back away from it.
I'm very glad that you admit that there's something that you want to work on.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, yeah, I would like to work on seeing myself or listening to how other people see me, and then trying to incorporate that more, because a lot of times other people say, like, yeah, man, you have a lot of interesting things to say. You bring, different, unique
I definitely agree.
To the table. Appreciate that. Believe in yourself more. Have some more confidence there. I would like to actually internalize that and believe it, right? Because that would allow me to be a stronger, individual who can even add more to society, to the world. But at this point, that's still, being straight up with you, an area that I got to work on. And so, yeah, and the same thing with, like, seeing myself physically. Like, I can't stand seeing myself in pictures. I can't stand looking in the mirror. Like, it's just something I just really just despise.
No, I got you. I got you, man.
No, I appreciate you, man.
I got you, man. No.
That's cool.
I'll flip that around, man. So, I mean, you've always been genuine through this whole podcast, and I really appreciate that. And I think that it really does shed light on who you are as a person and what really motivated you. And I'm very glad that you took that turn towards self-improvement and towards, I guess, like, through your coaching and through your teaching, really just, like, how can we better the world is the question that you've oriented yourself towards, which is a lot better than, like, how can I destroy the world?
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, we've both definitely seen, just standing at the very ledge and looking at, like, the void, we know that this is like, man, it's so easy to jump in, you know, and it's. And I feel like there isn't enough congratulations on taking the right path.
Well,
So I'm
don't feel deserving. Congratulations, haven't done enough yet, but you know.
But that's the thing,
the
though.
idea is to say, hey, you know, how can I get better every day? How can I and actually live by it? And so that's why I try not to. I realize I've done a fair amount of talking here. So
Of course.
but like I generally try not to do too much talking and just try to do more of the living. You know, because are you gonna like appreciate somebody who just talks about something all the time, or are you gonna appreciate somebody who actually sets the example by doing it? And so I'm just trying to, for myself, I don't really care if other people buy into it at this point anymore, because I don't need them to believe in my goals. I need to believe in my goals, right? That's what's going to allow me to be successful. So I need to you got to go out there. You got to live it. You got to breathe it for me, right? And other people who see and think similar will say like, hey, I appreciate that about you. I'm glad, like I know you. I'm glad that, you know, you're someone who can bring something to this for me in this part of life, whether, you know, it's your attitude or mentality. And then there's pieces that I can bring from them to me. And then there's a lot of people who might think, this kid is fake, man. This kid,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? This kid is all talk. And you know what? I understand that too, because if you never met me and just hearing this, it's more than possible that you believe that. And that's fair. Go ahead and believe that. But I just want to just go out there and do my thing, and I'm not too overly concerned with all the other voices and negativity out there. It's all about just focusing up and doing what I got to do. And to be honest with you, man, that's kind of all I've got.
So then, I guess my question is, what would you say to younger Drake? What would you say to the people who were in the same position that you were in? Like, what would be your message to them?
That's a good question.
You're like driving home run kind of message.
If I had to say one thing to younger me, or the people trying to push through tough times, would be I don't know if it's not going to be super eloquent, so forgive me, but
Okay,
relentlessly pursue whatever it is you're passionate about, and no matter what someone says to you, no matter what people believe about you, never give up on what it is you believe. And then be open to hearing other interpretations and other information and other advice that can help you grow. But don't just necessarily take it at face value. You got to analyze it and see how it applies to you. And eventually, when you kind of combine everything together and you push yourself, you will grow and continue to improve, hopefully. And that's when you're going to start recognizing that, hey, we've taken a step in the maturity process. And you'll move on to the next level of that, whatever needs to be worked on.